I didn't want others to be near me. I didn't want to actually be close to others. That loss was right in my face. It affected me so much that when I came home, I almost felt like I was dead. I felt like I was in purgatory. And it led to a lot of hurt people. I was in Afghanistan, September 29th, 2010, and I was sitting on a hilltop looking back at my base, Cobra Base, watching a couple of helicopters fly in and land. We got a call over the radio. A couple of our teammates were being held down by a machine gun nest. And the three of us, my two Afghans and myself, were all back to back in a triangle kind of formation with our weapons pointed in all 360. And after we took out the machine gun nest and I called over the radio that the machine gun nest was eliminated, and I didn't receive anything back. During our movement, I missed 2 calls over the radio, which were Eagle Down. Eagle Down was the terminology we used for fallen teammates, so that was pretty tough. When I got there, Calvin and Mark were both under a blanket, and I still didn't know that they were killed. I walked in and I saw my team sergeant, and I asked him who these guys were, and Matt pointed to one and said, "That's Calvin and that's Mark," and I just didn't believe it. I don't know why I didn't believe it. I figured that we were supermen, that we couldn't be touched. And I went down there and I lifted the sheet and saw Calvin. I put it back down and I walked over to Mark and I lifted the sheet. I saw Mark. And I think I was numb after that for several years, probably. I was having a lot of difficulties just with visuals. I would imagine bullets going through my head. I would sit inside a room and I would just imagine rage coming through the door. I would have images of Calvin driving the car next to me or Mark walking past me in the mall. I would tell the story of Calvin and Mark's death over and over and over again for 16 weeks. I'd record it, I would listen to it every single day. And when I finished that regiment, I believe I actually left worse than I actually was coming in. About July 2013, I got a phone call from a friend who said, "Brian, you really need to go try this therapy. The University of South Florida has this therapy going on, accelerated resolution therapy. I think you should go and try it." I got up there and I did one session and all those images went away. And I thought that they were gonna come back. And a year later, they were still gone. Right after I went through that therapy, it became a new mission of mine to get this to as many warriors as I possibly could. I wanted guys to be able to see that there was clinical services that can change their lives. The Veterans Alternative has started this week-long accelerated wellness program. We've ran 80 programs in the last 2.5 years. We've served well over 400 combat veterans and their spouses through that program. And we've got a 46% reduction in PTSD, 61 in depression, 56 in anxiety. It's amazing to see when we have a warrior who comes through, ready to take their own life, and they leave with an azimuth going forward that just shows growth. These warriors' lives are being saved through this program, and it doesn't mean that it's the end of maybe their need for counseling. It doesn't mean that it's the end for their walk in self-care. It means that they've learned what self-care is, and they learned how to take care of themselves post-war. It's been exciting to see how the Veterans Alternative has played a part in a lot of warriors' return. And our relationship to golf and the golf course has increased dramatically over the years. When we bring golf into our programs, warriors have a tool that they could take home with them. Golf is a tool that no matter where they're living, they can get out there and strike the ball and have some fun and challenge themselves. It's amazing how guys have been able to come home and use golf to help in that transition. I've watched the Valspar for the last few years, and I've always had this belief that somehow the Veterans Alternative was going to be involved with it. On March 18th, we were gifted the sponsorship and the beneficiary of the Veterans Alternative Valspar Pro Celebrity Am. So I have golfers that have service in the military, playing along pros and celebrities, and it all benefits the Veterans Alternative program. We're here to help those men and women come home where they can actually live a life free of combat. We're glad to serve. We love partnering with this type of community that is so devout to our veterans. So thank you very much.
Having a charitable organization who can be nimble, who can look, who can experiment, who can reach out to veterans proactively, that makes a huge, huge difference. I think that people just need to see what works, listen to the testimonials of veterans, and then as those successes are replicated, some of the government agencies really need to heed the call. It's making a really, really big impact, and a lot of it, I think, trace back to the fact that this is a guy that really eats and breathes this stuff and wants to be there for veterans around the clock.
The golf course is one of those greatest challenges where failures can happen, and it's okay to have failures, but you always are looking at a way that you can pick it up and swing better the next shot.